And then I'm going to hit the recorder, and we'll have a recording within a broadcast here, Dalia. So, hey everybody, this is the sharing finger. I want you to help Dalia spread her message, not by being the creepy kid from The Shining, but by hovering over the share button and clicking share. You know, Dalia's friends and fans, this is your chance to help her really spread spread the talk and change the world as she's doing. Don't give up. Every good idea has its time. And this is going to be, I'm going to be geeking out here, because when you start talking about the stuff you talked about in your talk with your handbag and the Bluetooth enabled and the changing colors and all of that stuff, this is going to be just a lot of fun. It sounds like I'm setting you up and recording, but I'm not. So don't let any of the good stuff out. Anything that you want to say to Live Universe before I actually hit the recorder button, Dalia? If you're not frozen. There you go.
No, I think we should just get right into it.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're going to rock and roll in 3, 2. We are live with DaliaMacPhee. Dalia, are you ready to talk? And I think we are having tech issues already here. Dalia, are you there? You have frozen on me. Okay. We have been having some tech issues there. I think what I am going to do is reset the Skype connection. And hopefully when we get back on, it is going to sound perfect here. So I'm going to hang up, call Dalia right back. And we'll be right here. And we're broadcasting, so we'll be right back. All right, so I have just terminated that connection on Dalia right there. We're going to hit the restart button on that. I don't know if you can hear the happy Skype chimes, but I can, and hopefully Dalia is going to pick up here. If not, we're going to take this down and just go on a audio chat here. Oh my word. Okay, everybody. Oh, here she is. We're going to accept that. Hey, Dalia.
Hi, this might be better with the, I'm on mobile now.
Okay.
So do you want to try that?
Oh, I thought you were mobile. Okay. It sounds a lot better.
Story.
Long story. Okay, this sounds a lot better, and the last time didn't sound all that different. So I am stoked about all this. And, we're ready to rock. So let me pull up the spreadsheet back up. And, all right, we're ready in 3, 2. We are live with DaliaMacPhee. Dalia, are you ready to talk?
I was born ready, Nathan.
DaliaMacPhee has rocketed to the upper echelon of sought-after designers in Hollywood. She's been called the it girl of the red carpet, and Entertainment Tonight has referred to her brand as couture with a conscience. The Consul General of Canada has listed her as an emerging phenomenon in Canada with significant designing talent. DaliaMacPhee, welcome to the talk.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I didn't mention this in the bio. Who are some of the A-listers that you had that I actually had to trim out of the bio for the podcast? Who are some of the people that have worn some of your designs on the carpet?
A lot of names over the years: Serena Williams, Heidi Klum, Sandra Bullock, Niecy Nash, Olivia Munn, Alyssa Milano. So it just kind of goes on. I haven't gotten Oprah yet.
On and on and on. Oh, my gosh. Well, hey, your talk is called Don't Give Up. Every Good Idea Has Its Time. And whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you're a fashion designer, whether you are a nerd or a geek or a technophile like myself to some degree, I love how you have just, put your designs together, infused it with Bluetooth and technology and done all the literal bells and whistles about it. But even beyond that, it's really just about being an entrepreneur. It's about mindset and it's about persistence. So, Dalia, please just take us behind the talk, and we've got all kinds of fun directions. I'll let you decide where we should go here.
Okay, great. Well, about 18, 19 years ago, I had a dream, and it was to start a clothing collection. And so I launched a very small group, and within about a year, I was in 1,500 stores, most major department stores. So you could say that I came up with a good idea at the right time. A few years after that, I had a bigger dream, and the dream was I really wanted to merge technology with clothing. I just saw that in the future. And so I came out with something that had never been released before. It was the first light-up jeans in the world. And obviously, you have to watch the talk to see them. I don't have them here with me, but I show them in the talk. But imagine, for example, you've got a pair of jeans on, and on the back pocket, a pair of lips appear, blow a kiss at you, disappear back into the pocket. It was fiber optic technology. Very, very cool. So I make a few phone calls. I get a meeting with Macy's. That's incredible. I'm at the airport. This is like right after 9/11, so security's super tight. I'm going through security. Of course, they stop me. They want to know why. And I had the jeans on. I'm sorry, I should mention that. Didn't have time. So
the jeans are on. So your jeans are broadcasting all kinds of messages.
The jeans were not on.
Oh, they were not on.
Of course, there's wires in the back pocket.
Oh, okay.
Right after 9/11.
Okay.
So I go through security, beep, 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 thing goes off. They're patting me down. They go, what are the wires in your back pocket? I'm like, oh, now you probably haven't heard of light up jeans, and it's 2018. Can you imagine? That many years ago. So I look at the guy, go, oh, these are the first light up jeans in the world. He looks at me like a deer in headlights and says, well, it's like a laptop. You have to display it. I go, sure, no problem. Forgot the battery. No battery to display it. So now I'm surrounded by like 5 immigration officers, and they don't think I have the first light up jeans in the world. They think I have the first butt bomb in the world.
Because there were other people lighting up their shoes and doing all kinds of things on the plane. I can't believe you made it out. Congratulations! What a horrible story. Persistence.
The moral of the story is you always carry extra batteries. So I swear I made a prayer because I'm trying to catch this meeting. Somehow I found an extra battery, and I was able to display it. And of course, then they were like, "Ooh, this is great. You should patent that."
Right after the horrible attack, and you put the battery in, they see that it works, and all of a sudden they're converted. They want some.
I think I had the jeans on that like wink at you or something. It was a winking happy face. So like how do you not? It was a good story. So
it is a good story.
It's the truth. I mean, this could have been a whole other story. We could have been doing this call from prison.
Well, yeah.
So I made it to my meeting, and I met with the buyer, and the buyer said, wow, these are either going to – and we had lots of designs. And she'd said these are either going to be the biggest hit or the biggest flop. So I worked my butt off, and within 3 months, they were Macy's #1 flop. But I didn't give up because every good idea has its time. And so the talk is basically about that it's to inspire people, and the idea is that we're all – born creative, and we are actually all born inventors. We just forget it along the way. And so I kind of take the audience on my journey, and timing is everything sometimes, that it's not that it's a bad idea. It's about persistence, and sometimes you have to wait. So the world has changed, and technology, obviously, now we don't have wires have been replaced by copper threads and whatnot. So I have a new product that's coming out, which took my old dream from the jeans and incorporated a bunch of new technology. And it's the first brilliant purse in the world. You have to watch the talk, but basically anything your cell phone can do, this purse can do.
Yeah, so, and we're going to have a link to check out that talk. You can see all kinds of crazy, wonderful things that happen. You had platform shoes that actually raise and lower through Bluetooth. I'm spoiler alert, but I mean, just amazing sounding stuff. Yeah. And I don't even wear heels. And I think that's great.
Well, maybe you will after this.
Yeah, I will.
Imagine you're on a blind date and you get there and you realize, oh, I this person's a little taller than I thought they were. So you're sitting down and you hit the button and you get up and they're looking at you because you're 2 inches taller. And it's, what do you say? Boy, that meal was really filling. So,
well, I love how you're solving all kinds of social situations and problems that we didn't think were solvable.
But that came from, I was at a business dinner in New York and I was leaving the restaurant, and anyone that's been to Manhattan knows how many potholes there are all over the sidewalks. So I was leaving dinner and of course I had heels on and I just face planted.
Ooh.
And as I was lying there with blood on my face, I thought, I need a pair of heels that I can just press a button after dinner and go down to flat. So.
Go Gadget heels.
Exactly.
Little shout out for
Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget friends, fans out there. Oh my gosh, where to go from here? Here's where I'd like to go from here, because your first shot, or at least when the story starts, the first shot was an amazing success. And, entrepreneurial journey is up and down, and usually it's down and further down, maybe a little farther up and almost break even, and then really down, and then maybe a little, it's up and down. You hit the jackpot right off the bat. So my question to you is, the what we call failure, which is really learning and maybe being ahead of the curve, otherwise known as failure just because of timing. But what was that initial success like for you? Because a lot of times that can be as disruptive or more disruptive in terms of you maybe don't learn some of the hard lessons because it happens. So what's your take on that, and what learning lessons can you share with us from that early success, Dalia?
Okay. Well, first of all, I should tell you that when I was 11 years old, I was in a home economics class, and my teacher did threaten to fail me because I was useless at completing a blouse. And she actually said, don't ever pursue a career in fashion.
Love it.
And it was then 10 years later that I was a household name. Mm-hmm. So I did have a little taste of the failure early on. But no, I mean, and that's part of my talk is about, sometimes you hit the timing and sometimes you don't. So I was in the right place at the right time. A big part of that success also had to do with the fact that I was young and I had no fear. I was not yet tainted by the ways of the world. I hate to say it, but it's true because a lot of this is persistence. But again, it was timing and the economy and everything else. So there was a lot that I learned. I mean, I think it's harder once you've had a taste of success to then, you're striving for the top. It's different. But once you've had it and you fall, it really becomes, there's a lot of things that happen, I think, psychologically, because you have to understand where your worth comes from. So that was a big thing for me in understanding in business. It's all about attitude and what we do. I mean, basically, we're on a battlefield. So, and when I had the success, the other part was I didn't feel I deserved it because it came so fast and so easily. So there was, I'm not sure if I quite answered your question there.
Yeah, well, you put a couple of good pieces in there. I mean, I think you're referring to what a lot of us talk about as the imposter syndrome. And this idea that, hey, how did this happen to me, or and like you also said, being fearless and being persistent and being a good advocate for yourself, that'll take you a long way, especially if you're not overcoming, jadedness or, just having a history of minimizing oneself and thinking too lowly of oneself. So I think the interesting blend in your case is that the success, it doesn't sound like it went to your head as much as it really could, even though that probably was a battle that you fought. It sounded like you were able to emerge without being too badly scathed from that initial success. Is that a fair way of putting it, or anything you'd like to add?
Well, definitely. And also, though, I will say the apparel industry is pretty dog and cutthroat. So 1,500 stores was great, but I was still treated like, yeah, who are you? So it's quite the humbling business. So maybe I had an advantage to that, but absolutely. And as far as the imposter syndrome, I think we see that a lot, especially with women. And especially like in the tech world, for example, or they're being promoted to certain positions where they feel, do I have a right to be here?
For sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, we've been enjoying this conversation with DaliaMacPhee. Her talk is called Don't Give Up. Every good idea has its time. And now it's time for us to start pivoting over to you, Talk Universe. You have ideas. You have talks that are going to change the world as well. And we're going to pivot right over to you in just a minute for the Blitz Round. And it's time for the Blitz Round. We're here with DaliaMacPhee. I'm going to ask Dalia a series of either-or questions related to the preparation and performance of her recent branded talk. Dalia, are you ready?
I was born ready.
All right. First question. Are you a memorizer, an improviser, or a blender?
Am I a blender? No. Yes, actually. I think it's a combination of both. So what I learned through talks, and I actually just wrote an article for Forbes recently about getting over your fear of public speaking. The number one thing is really knowing your material. So to a degree, I do memorize. And then I'm also aware of the fact that once you're on the battlefield, anything can happen. So I blend, because you have to just know your material. Once you're in front of that audience, anything happens.
So you're alluding to this already, but my next question is generally, did you have nerves, or were you in the zone, or neither, or both?
Both.
Both.
I've been speaking for years. I hadn't done a talk in quite some time when I did my TEDx talk, but I don't think any human ever gets over the nerves, ever, speaking in front of a crowd. So what you do is you take the nerves and you turn it into passion, if you can. Audiences are quite forgiving. They actually, I think, love vulnerability, and they love realness. It's just a matter of channeling it. And a little trick that I always have is I say, imagine your audience in polyester. Which the joke, imagine your audience in their underwear. But the first big speech I ever gave was in Beverly Hills, and the front row was like perfect looking celebrities, and imagining them in their underwear just gave me anxiety. So
because they're perfect bodies under the perfect polyester.
I was like, I don't look like this. I'm like, that's not going to work. So every time I look at the audience, I think of something that makes me feel calmer. Like the last talk I did was a bunch of CEOs, and they didn't know that they had fruit baskets on their heads. And I was calm through the whole thing.
Oh, isn't that powerful? We have all kinds of powers that we don't even know about to be able to imagine things. And I mean, it reminds me of Viktor Frankl's work, who wrote from the aftermath of a concentration camp. And it really comes down to when they strip everything else away from you, you still have your imagination, you still have the power to choose to forgive, or how you are going to respond in a certain situation or a certain moment. So great example of that, Dalia. You already answered this, but besides imagining people with a fruit basket on their head or anything else that you desire, what is another tip, technique, or a tool that helped you?
So I went to a coach he's an acting coach, but he'd been recommended to me because he also does a lot of public speaking. And I only saw him a few times before the talk, and he invited me to his theater. So I'm standing on the stage, and he's got a big theater there, and he said, okay, deliver the talk. I'm like 1 minute in, and he stops me, and he looks at me, he goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, how brave would you say you are, Dalia? And I'd said, 9. He goes, great. I've got 100 students coming in 5 minutes. You can deliver your talk to them. So, I had to be resuscitated. That 9, dropped to like a -2.
What a great setup.
What
a horrible thing to do to someone.
It was terrible, but it was the best thing that ever happened.
Wow.
And not only did I get to deliver the talk cold, and of course I wasn't ready, and get over the nerves. But because of his relationship with the students, I was able to have a conversation with them candidly after and ask them questions. So I was able to say, what did you like? What didn't you like? What do you think of my body language? What grabbed you? What did you want to hear more of? And they weren't afraid. At first, I think, no one wants to give constructive criticism, so I had to warm them up. But it was probably the best thing that happened to prepare me. And I think it's so hard, but wouldn't you rather do something like that than just go cold turkey into your talk?
Oh, for sure. So that was a splash of cold water, walking right into it. My final question, it's the cut for time question. What was the most painful part of your talk that you had to cut out?
Oh, God. When you say painful, what do you mean?
Just emotionally attached that you had to cut out for time that was just a painful thing that you knew you had to cut out ahead of time.
Sure. Well, I'm fascinated with the future of fashion, and we could probably sit and I could talk to you for 3 hours on where I think it's going to go from, that you'd order something online and you'd come home and it'd be printed out in your closet because you had a 3D printer. So it was really hard for me to cut out all of that because, you have 13 minutes. You have to get your point across, and just like this interview right now. So that was hard. Very, very hard because it's a passion of mine.
We've been enjoying the Blitz Round with DaliaMacPhee, and we want to let you know where you can go to check out this amazing talk and these amazing, I want to say gadgets, but they're really clothes and purses and all kinds of stuff that she basically demos in the middle of her talk. You can go and watch that talk. Don't give up. Every good idea has its time. You can go to our show notes page at bethetalk.com. We will have a clickable link right there, as well as a link to DaliaMacPhee's website at DaliaMacPhee.com, and the last name is MacPhee, Dalia, Dalia, MacPhee.com. And we'll be back in just a moment for Dalia's final word of advice. And we're back with the final word of advice for you, Talk Universe, with DaliaMacPhee.
So I think my final piece of advice would be this. By the time you were 3, you were probably most likely already walking, running, and speaking at least one language by 3. You were designed to win. So whatever your ideas, whatever you're trying to create in the world, remember that, and don't let the fear of other people stand in the way of you giving your gift to the world, because that's what you're here to do.
Wise words from DaliaMacPhee. Thank you so much for coming on the talk today and sharing your wisdom with Talk Universe.
Thanks for having me.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much. We are still broadcasting. Want to remind you, share, wiggle your finger and share and spread the message. Any geek clubs, any fashion clubs, anything like that, they're going to want to watch this talk. Dalia, any final word for Live Universe here?
Well, if anyone's looking for clothing right now, we're doing an amazing sale on the site just through Saturday. 20% off everything. And I just launched some athletic wear and bikinis and umbrellas. And all you have to do is type in the word freedom at the end through your checkout. So.
All right. Save some money. Share this. We'll take care. And thanks again, Dalia, for coming on the talk today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.